You're listening to 4CRB's interviews and talkback series.
Welcome to the studio, Supreme Court Judge David Ashton Lewis.
Oh, thank you very, very much, and it's good to see you, and it's good to have all those listeners out there.
Well, we're tackling a fairly contemporary, I wouldn't say contemporary, but a topical topic this morning, domestic violence.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And it is, the term is at epidemic proportions in society. If we talk to our police force, if we talk to our legal system, our solicitors, there is a ton of it going on out in the community that we may or may not be aware of.
Yes.
It is a very big problem with a very difficult answer if we want to try.
You can't legislate this problem away. So you can't make laws and expect judges or magistrates. This is a community psychological cultural problem. And it would take not much of an intellect to see, given the age of our listeners. I think back to when I was a child in the 50s and a teenager in the 60s. No man would hit a wife openly. The wife might turn up at somewhere with a black eye, and other women would say, "Oh, Elizabeth, what happened? Oh, I fell over. I hit my head." Because when the word got around that a man was hitting a woman, what would happen? They would be shunned. They'd be shunned at the pub. They would be shunned at the church, in the community. They might even lose their status in the junior football club to be a coach, because the attitude would be, "No man hits a woman, mate.
That's unacceptable."
It's unacceptable. Well, that's gone now. And it's gone because of societal change, yes?
Look, I think we were pointing out off air that we've loosened a lot of things from the way we construct or that we educate our children. And I suppose if we break it down to the mechanical form, as we're growing up, our parents show us what's right and wrong.
They do.
They guide us in what's acceptable and not acceptable. Yes. As we go through school, our peers as well as our teachers have a say in that. Yes. And then once we leave school and leave our parents, it's usually our friendship circles that say that's unacceptable. Yeah. Now, they may do that by I can't deal with this person anymore. I'm not going to associate with them. But these are the things that we should be receptive to.
Yes.
And we're not anymore.
Well, do you think once you're a young man, and it's men, women do attack men, so let's not forget that.
In the Polynesian culture, I'm told it's the other way around.
Yes, yes. Certainly it was in the South Pacific. But look, how many people today would think under, say, the age of 40, would think, no, you must never hit a woman. Yeah. I saw it on the bench. You'd see comments like, well, she annoyed me, or she insulted me and embarrassed me amongst other men. So it becomes a duality problem. Women must behave carefully around men. Some men can explode in an instant. Some men are slow boilers.
Let's be clear, though. They shouldn't have to.
No, they should not. But we are to blame in the sense that we've developed to a point that how many times would I hear young men under 40 say it is absolutely unacceptable to physically assault a woman? I've heard it, but it's not the norm.
Look, for me, I like the guidelines in our society, in our community, and yes, we can go back to an easier time, an older time,
but you can't turn the clock back.
You can't turn the clock back, and that is the issue. But moreover, where you can't drive until you're 16. You can't drink until you're 18 legally. These rules are put in place in our society because they are dangerous to people. And we have not developed enough in our own psyche, in our own bodies, in our own mentality to make those decisions for ourselves. So it says we require guidance.
Yeah, there's not an equivalence, though, because obviously You can't say those two things you've said and then add, and you can't hit your girlfriend
No,
until you get to 25 or
But
what.
the point being
Yes,
is those
I know.
guidelines are here from a government / societal point of view. Those guidelines need to be embedded, or the ones about domestic violence in a family situation.
Look, the bottom line is an act has to be shameful, and when it comes out in the open, there has to be shaming. Now, that doesn't happen. I've heard young men say, look, she stirred me up. She thought she could just walk in.
I agree with you.
And so I hit her. But when you would say on the bench or as a barrister, but was that right? And you'd hear things like, yeah, she deserved it. But she couldn't fight you. Well, she shouldn't have been stirring me up, should she? So, again, it's cultural and it's...
I like your idea of shaming because, again, when we look around the world at all of the way we deal with wrongs around the world, we go from chopping people's hands off in the Middle East because they stole. But one I do like, and I'm not going to say I like that one, is in, and I think it's Thailand, I think.
Yes.
If you're a thief, you stood between two police officers on a street corner in your village
with
a sign around your neck that says, I'm a thief.
Yes.
And people have the right to hit you in the head as they walk by. Or
that'll never happen. But the sign, I think, is a good idea. I am a wife beater.
And that there's the shame of it because you
certainly. Now, the thing is, then how do we inculcate...
Now, in our society, in our woke society...
how do we inculcate that in woke society? Oh, you can't do that. You're breaching his rights. Now, the attitude is...
Don't you lose your rights if you breach someone else's?
No, you don't today. Like, that's why we don't have the death penalty. A lot of the death penalty was based on you have forfeited your right to your life because you took another.
Sure.
So therefore you forfeit yours. Now you will get nowhere with
Don't
that.
you forfeit your freedom if you commit a crime
Yes.
that's worthy enough?
Yes.
Because you've done that, we're going to take away your freedom to say, you've done the wrong thing, go away and think about it for a while.
So it goes to that point with, well, you're going to lose your freedom. Because I've never met anyone who liked having their freedom taken away in a 3-year stint in jail. Sure, you get fed 3 times a day, you get exercise, you get everything. But the thing that most prisoners who come out say, what became unbearable was I couldn't leave if I wanted to, even if I would do the right thing and come back. I couldn't leave and get on a bus and go to a shopping centre and walk around. Your whole life was controlled. So most people didn't like that. Now, we've got that. You have committed a crime. So now your punishment is to lose your freedom, because most people cherish their freedom. Now, then you've got to say, and I don't think you could it would be successful. You have beaten a creature of creation that is far less strong than you, and then all of a sudden the feminists come in. Oh, we're just as strong as men. And no one's got the courage to say, go away, you're not. But they tried to do things like, no woman can be a fighter pilot. Well, we've got women training in the Royal Australian Air Force who are doing real well in flying the F-18.
Absolutely.
So here's the balance, that how do we get respect for women back so that if someone breaches that, they know they're going to be shunned. They're going to be ostracised.
So there is a level of respect in society, and that is something that I was going to touch on, is we've lost those components. Respect your elders. Respect other people's right to have their opinion. And those things have slowly but surely disappeared. If you might voice an opinion that I disagree to, and at the end of the day, you may be called a racist instead of debating my opinion.
Yeah, but here's the problem of the society we're in now. It's very difficult to declare a truth that doesn't fit in with a preordained agenda of the woke, of the whatever. When you're declaring, look, this is simple common sense. No, it's not. You're a homophobe. Or no, it's not. You're a racist. Or no, it's not. You're a bigot.
Yeah, there's no need to get personal. The issue is, let's debate me on the facts.
That's right. Now, that doesn't happen.
No.
No, when I was a university student in the 60s and early 70s, there was rigorous debate by your lecturers with yourselves. Come on, you challenge me. Now, people were smart enough then to realise, look, unless I go away and research, I can't challenge him. So people would. They'd go away during the week, look up learned papers in the library and come to the conclusion there is another side to this. All I'm hearing from Professor Jones is his view on it. And although he's a professor with a PhD in that, he might be wrong. And I watch students do this. I'm told it doesn't happen now.
Well, let's move into the bit that I feel is going to be a little hard.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about off air that we've loosened things to a point, and it's become almost a desensitization of things. The question is, how do you walk things back once you've opened them up and allowed the Pandora's box to open?
Great difficulty. But what the starting point is like why wokeism is so popular, because it slowly crept in, it slowly encouraged, diversity, equity and inclusion. It's slowly...
Three fine things, but...
Yeah, they are. And it's slowly encouraged. So I think, if I'm right in this, there would need to be a slow encouragement of the sanctity of the female. And no matter whether she's a terrible harrigan and foul-mouthed, but that she is a woman.
You still have the choice to walk away.
Yes,
if you don't like what's going on, if you feel you're being harassed, walk away.
Yeah, but that's all right for you to say, because you are an educated, intellectual, a man raised in the Christian tradition. And so you see, and I'm sure it'd still hurt, you walking away, you'd still see that I didn't lose anything. I could see I could never talk with this person. But for so many people, when it gets to a point of walk away, they will either engage in verbal assault, verbal invective, or for some lesser controlled men and women, they will engage in violence. Look, like I said, we should remember that women assault men as well.
Before we move into our summary,
no, and women assault. But why aren't there as many assaults of women, going into men? Why? Look at that, and the psychologists say because women are not as strong as men, they tend to be afraid of the violence they will invite back once they've thrown that punch or hit a man with a frying pan or whatever. So why don't women do these things as much as men? The answer, I think, doesn't need to have PhDs or deep psychological investigation. It's because they are not as strong, and they tend, that's why women that incite men tend to be much better verbalizers than men. And so what they do is they verbalize. A man gets driven to such frustration because he can't compete in the verbal stakes, and then that's when he should do what you say you do, walk away.
Look,
when a man's ego is affected, very hard.
So the concept of winning and losing, David,
that's a good point.
And it could very well be in a relationship, it could be at work, it could be in a work relationship, it could be an employee-employer relationship. That is one of the dynamics I've noticed that can be very detrimental in any number of circumstances.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you personally, and then I'm happy to respond. What did you do when Lisa just flattened you in an argument?
I usually made a joke of it and said, well done or well argued, or if I didn't agree...
You never ever felt you wanted to hit her?
No, but if I didn't agree, we agreed to disagree.
Yeah. You see, you're a civilised man, and as I said before, you're educated, you have a high intellect, and you have a good sense of morality and the way a society like ours should behave. But I can tell you now, and I see it on the bench, there are many people who have completely lost sight of that, and take the view, I have to win. Well, no, you don't. Oh, yes, I do. Because he'll think he's better than me, or she'll think she's better than me. So what?
And you
Well,
can
I'm not
see
going
it
to
when
allow that.
You can see it when people completely lose their temper. It almost does come down to a win-loss situation when you reflect on it. But that's a bigger topic going forward. It goes down to our fundamental humanity, and even potentially the point of having to have an adversary. We seem to invent them, find them, decide that we've got to have one, whether it be a segment of the community or a segment of sexuality or a different component of race. We have to have someone that we need to vilify.
Yeah, and when a man strikes and hurts a woman with his fist, he's simply saying, I'm not going to be beaten by you. I have to win. So all attempts at verbalising and debating with you have gone nowhere. I haven't had you declare that I've won, so I'm going to hurt you.
So we've defined the cause, the effect. The solutions are desperately difficult, if you ask me. There's no magic wand. It is a long-term solution. A lot of these behaviours are learnt behaviours.
Yes.
You've seen someone else do it, so you know what, it works for my dad or it worked for my family, it's going to work for me. I struggle to see how we're actually going to solve this equation.
Well, I think we have to try.
We have to.
And we have to try by, as I said right at the beginning, by upping the standing of women in our society. Not so they can jump on us, women's rights, feminism. I don't want to hear any of that. What I'm doing is I'm upping the standard of respect for women, because the bottom line is, and I don't want to hear all the jargon, you'll never be as strong as a man.
It's got nothing to do with strength.
No, it will bring it out, though. If a woman is clearly beating a man verbally or in everything, some men will resort to physical violence because I'm not going to be beaten. So what I think, and I've said this, we've got to develop respect for women. And that respect will be based on, well, she's not as strong as I am. Now, I love rugby league.
Love it.
And I love seeing men play it, and I love women playing it, and I love the women Broncos. And I heard one of the top players, and I thought, she was pretty mannish, but she has 3 girls. And she was talking about how, they are to be raised properly. What's her name? Anyway, she was the captain. And she made quite a clear statement about we have to develop our skills really well because we'll never have the strength of men.
And again, mate, as much as we know that there are physical differences between male and female.
Well, that's the starting point. You've got to get clear acceptance. Yes, there are physical.
But what's that got to do with the price of eggs? At the end of the day, if you've got a better idea than I have, or if you have a better handle on a concept, or if you have a better opinion than mine, I shouldn't have to or want to be angry about that in any way, shape or form.
Yet again, you're an educated, intellectual, well-raised man. So you find no loss of your manhood in conceding defeat in an argument or an opinion to a woman.
Sure.
There's no diminution of your masculinity. And if you're not going to diminish a man's masculinity...
You're right. And I have seen ego have a play in these sort of environments. Ego...
So what's the... I think we must start somewhere. The starting point is our society, our culture, our values. Now, you can't go back to the 1950s where, she was home cooking, baking the cakes and getting your slippers and your pipe ready when you walk through the door with your briefcase.
I'm going to refer us back to an earlier program. There were 7 deadly sins. Which one's in effect at this one, in this topic?
Pride.
And then there were 9 heavenly gifts from memory.
And the great... No, and the greatest was... Love.
But humility, I think, is another
good one
here
yeah,
that
definitely
needs to be something that you bear in mind? And these are the things where what challenges for us to overcome and things to aspire to. And we've spoken about these many
But we're
times.
not helped in things like, oh, look, to be fair, everyone gets a prize. 12 in a race, they all get a ribbon.
Oh dear, pass the parcel and everybody everyone got one in one wrapper.
Gee. So, and that's kind. There's nothing wrong with that. But people should have stopped and thought, so what will this engender in men and in women, that we all get a prize? What does it engender in just social thought? So what there has to be, and I don't know whether we can do it, I hope we can, re-examining ourselves as a race,
Yes.
as two beasts, women and men, recognizing without shame of being belittled, women are much more skilled in some areas than men. Men are much more skilled in some areas. Women can do things that men can't do, like having babies. But we're now getting groups telling us, no, men can have babies. And you want to go and say...
But what's that, mate, at the end of the day, I'm more than happy to
Yeah,
concede
but
the
what
fact that that's
what
not.
that's got to do with it is men can have babies, so men and women are equal. And if a man is getting destroyed in an argument, well, he can behave in whatever way he wants. There's no constraints on him.
Oh dear.
You know, and if a woman's getting defeated in an argument, she can behave in whatever way she wants. There's got to be clear boundaries to say to a man, yes, you can behave, you can get angry, but you cannot resort to violence. And a woman doing it, have enough nous to know and to observe that you're pushing this bit too far.
I think it's the understanding of the word respect, not only in yourself, but the other person that you're dealing with at the time. And ensuring that ensuring that respect is at the forefront. Because again, you go and allow your emotions to control you is being disrespectful to the people around you at the time. Go away and have an emotional response if that be the case.
Well, yes, easy to say, but in a society that has the values we've been talking about. So the hard bit is, can we go back to, and it does mean going back, to some things that are applicable always. In other words, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so respect for women by men is something that should be absolutely reinforced time and time again. And any man who resorts to violence, physical violence with a woman, should be ostracized and shunned, just like happened in the 1950s.
David Ashton Lewis, it's a difficult question to solve with a magic wand. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, look, thank you as always.
You've been listening to 4CRB's interviews and talkback series. Support local online content and become a financial supporter today at 4CRB.com.